I have more than I know to be grateful for. I know that my inner child screams for more. I'm abundantly alone, but the sun has abundantly shone on my scars. And I have come so far to know that I have more than enough to share.
We live here, everyone screaming for more, yet there is no limit to the good in the world. The sky always has its colors unfurled. The sparrows eat food abundantly, even in winter when the pickings are weak, and we are so much greater than these. Can we receive? How wide are we reaching? How much are we expecting? Can we find it in ourselves to expect a blessing? When we open our eyes, we find our needs are provided already.
Thanks. Abundance is having enough to share, to ensure that every mouth is fed, every person is housed, every need is met. Abundance is having enough to pay too much for a watch, to finally get that super yacht, to obscure in a multitude of twisted transactions and an unwavering defense of profit.
Abundance says there is enough to go around and there's still more to be found. It is an ongoing treasure hunt that encourages you to be sound. It lives in the past and thrives in the now. True abundance is a gratitude that spills from the lips of the possessor. Abundance is a mindset that you choose to make possible.
There is an abundance of proof that greatness lives within you, so follow your truth. Since the beginning, you were destined for glory, because someone, somewhere, needs to hear your story. I'm Shane Maynard, Executive Director of Girl of Poets, and I just want to take a moment to thank some of our members for coming today and flash mobbing y'all in the audience. The topic is abundance, so I figured what better way to kick it off than with an abundance of poets. So, Tariq Kiley, thank you. Elaine Hill, thank you. Nemo Soom, aka John D. McQueen, thank you. And Storm Kimball, thank you. So our nonprofit Guerrilla Poets provides art, poetry, and music workshops in underserved areas based in personal development. Now, we base everything we do in personal development because throughout the years, the number one thing we have seen that takes a person from struggle to abundance is actually having the mindset that you're worthy of receiving it. So you can have all the resources in the world, but if you don't believe you're capable or worthy of those resources, you can't utilize them. Now, I can stand up here and I could tell you about all the trauma I've experienced. That would actually be easy. There is an abundance of it. I often tell my students that I owe all my success to trauma, but that's not what I want to talk about. What I want to talk about is the mindset it took for me to quit a 9-to-5 and start doing what I love as an entrepreneur. Now, back in the day, I used to make my living as a graphic designer, and I was on fire for it. I mean, I would be up till 2, 3 o'clock in the morning just pumping out designs for clients. And for a while, I loved it. Until about the 500th person who kept asking, can I see it a shade lighter? You know what? No, can I see it a shade darker? Actually, can I see that in Comic Sans font? Just don't. Needless to say, I was burnt out. I had also started Guerrilla Poets while working this 9-to-5 and trying to get the group off the ground. I was also starting to get contacted for paid gigs doing poetry shows and workshops, and I found myself having to work up that nerve to ask off. Now, listen, those gigs were not a lot of money by any means, but it was still amazing to me that I could get paid to do this thing that I love. But full-time poet, full-time artist, that's not possible. Not me, right? And then something happened that would change my life forever. My mom had gotten sick, and she pulled something coughing in her back. It was this big purple bruise. So we took her to the hospital. And I'll never forget, I'm sitting on the edge of the hospital bed. She leans up and goes, "Whew, Shane, one of these days I'm not going to make it out of one of these hospital visits." And I look at her and I say, "Oh, Mama, it's going to be okay. I'm sure you'll get to go home tomorrow." And y'all, I went home. And the next day she was in a coma. Her kidneys had shut down. 5 days later, she passed after that. Now, I had already lost my dad in high school, so that was it, y'all. My parents were gone. And the thing that they don't tell you about losing both your parents is that at some point you realize you have to start loving yourself the way they loved you because they're no longer here to do it. 3 months after my mother's death, I'm at work. And there I am, standing under a flickering fluorescent light, and I'm staring into the gaping chasm of the printer technician's butt crack as he's bent over to fix our printer. It was quite a sight. And I had this out of work as opposed to out of body experience. Is this really what I'm doing right now? It just didn't seem real to me. When just the day before I had taken half a day off so I could go teach spoken word to teens at an after-school arts academy, watching as my students ferociously wrote their poems, eager to express themselves. And it had only been 12 hours prior when I was rocking my own socks off on stage, spitting to a huge audience, racking in $345 for a 25-minute poetry set. I could still feel every soul being shook in the crowd, but y'all, all I could see was the butt crack and the sweat dripping down the Xerox employee's temple as he grunted from his bad back. And it was clear to me in that moment that I was living two different lives, and y'all, only one of them was real. And I had to ask myself a hard question. Would my mom want this for me? Do I want this for me? Y'all, the truth is it hurt too much to keep going this way. Long nights for poetry shows and trying to squeeze in as much work as possible for guerrilla poets on 12-minute lunch breaks and dealing with having to ask off to go get paid doing what I love. So with a tractor in my stomach full of nerves, I clicked send on my resignation email, locked up and walked out on a Friday. Now, at first, all I felt was relief that, that was me leaving the office. And then, about halfway home on my 45-minute commute, I noticed my hands wouldn't stop shaking. Oh my God, am I crazy? Did I just quit the highest paying job I've ever had without a clue on what I'm gonna do? Y'all, it felt like I was gonna throw up every meal I'd ever eaten. I knew I could get paid here and there for my poetry and art, but it was far from a steady income. Was I going to end up one of those poets walking around begging the audience to buy my book, to keep the lights on? All the confidence I had in myself and on stage suddenly disappeared. Now, it just so happened that very night, me and my partner had planned on going to the county fair. So there we are in the parking lot, and he turns to me and goes, "Are you sure you're up for going to the fair?" Concerned that my face was as white as a freshly opened Google Doc. And I look at him, and I'm like, make a scary life choice, go on a scary ride, right? Y'all, for the next hour, I took photos of spinning lights and uploaded them to my Facebook with posts like, maybe I could join the carnies. This is my life now. These are now my people. But just how I knew that the corporate life was not for me as I was staring into that butt crack, it would turn out my reality would be far better than a life of greasy fair food and greasy mechanic hands. All it took was the swings. Now, if you've ever been to the county fair, the swings are a carnival ride staple. There's just a thin metal pole between you and the air as it lifts you up, 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 and it spins you around so high you could probably see your house if it wasn't for the speed. Now, at the time, I was a bit of a catastrophe artist. Meaning, in times of stress, the worst possible thing that could happen would barge into the forefront of my mind like an unwanted relative checking to see if you've cleaned your house. Y'all, I love the fair. I love the swings. I always go on the swings. So why I was convinced upon the first turn that the chain was going to break and send me flying into the parking lot with limbs flailing was beyond me. But I legit freaked out. All I could think was, oh my God, this is it. I'm going to die. I'm going to die. This is it. This is it. I'm dying. This is it. Wait, I don't want to die. I don't want to die. And then it hit me. Why don't I want to die? If everything is so bleak and I've somehow made this huge mistake by finally taking responsibility for my life, if I'm destined to be destitute and homeless, then why do I so desperately want to live? And I realized it's because I haven't been fully living yet. I mean, not really. Most people think that your life flashes before you when you're about to die, or think you are. But for me, it was all the things that I had yet to try and fully do. And y'all, suddenly I wasn't dying anymore. I was flying. And for the first time since I was a kid, I literally opened up my arms and yelled, woo, around every curve in the air. Life isn't gonna suck. It's gonna be awesome. This fair is awesome. I'm awesome. That carny down below looking up at me yelling like I'm some dysfunctional weirdo is awesome. I'm finally gonna do the thing. I'm finally gonna fly. So listen, I knew I had to get serious. I knew I had to really want this for myself and not give up the belief that I could make it. So for the next year, I did rack up money on a credit card to pay for things I needed, like a website. And I signed up to as many free newsletters as I could from business coaches I found while scrolling on Facebook. You know the ones that say they built their six-figure business from the ground up that we all scoff at, and say, yeah, right. Y'all, the thing is, they literally did do that. But we see ads for those things and we think it's a scam because that's not possible. Not me, right? You can literally have all these resources at your fingertips. But if you don't believe you're capable or worthy, sometimes you can't even see them. And the free content they gave out in their newsletters did help me build my business. I built my subscriber list, started building a client base for my coaching business. More organizations started contacting me, and I built my own group of amazing movers and shakers. Y'all, the first month I pulled in more income than I had at my previous deadweight job. I was ecstatic. My entire life, I was told that you can't make a living doing poetry or art. And y'all, that was a lie. I told myself that if I make money off my art forms, that I'd be selling out. And that was a lie. I also believed that if I charge what I'm worth, then I can't serve the people I want to serve. And that was a lie. The truth is, when you're financially stable and you're not stressed or burnt out, you can actually give more back to your community because you have tapped into the abundance of the potential that lives within you. Money does not corrupt people. Corrupt people corrupt money. Your mindset around what you're capable and worthy of doing, as well as your beliefs around money, are the keys to unlocking a life that not only sustains you, but fulfills you. And just like I said when I first walked up here, sometimes the thing that hands you those keys is trauma. My mother's sudden death not only made me face my own mortality, it made me face the way I love myself and view what's best for me. Now listen, having that realization is not the hard part. The hard part is maintaining it while you sort out your limiting beliefs. We had a teen student once say in a workshop that things were so much easier when they didn't want to live because they never wanted anything for themselves. And now they want things and they hate it. Building your business can be the fun part. The sucky part is facing why you're scared to promote yourself or charge what you're worth to keep it going. That's the hard internal work you have to do. So when our nonprofit Guerrilla Poets goes into these areas, we see the abundance within these individuals. And it is our job to create a space where they can see that for themselves, that they have something to offer, that they are worthy of receiving. It's been 5 years since I quit that 9 to 5. And I'm flapping my wings and finding the right currents for me to soar. I'm flying, y'all. And so can you. So, if you find yourself staring at the back of Tom's head at the desk in front of you, wondering if he uses Head and Shoulders while you're bored out of your mind, or if you can't wait for your lunch break to dream about what lifts your heart up in the air, get your butt in the real seat and start swinging. You can make a living doing what you love. I'm living proof of it. Please know that every single one of you is a gallery worth walking through, that each one of you has something to offer based on your unique life experience you have lived. And maybe you don't want to start your own business. Maybe you're just scared to show up for that class or create that thing because you think it won't be good enough or that no one will like it. But y'all, I'm telling you, someone somewhere needs to hear your story, because you are the living proof of resilience for whatever trauma you have been through. It does not matter who you are, and it does not matter what you've done. You are worthy of the abundance that already lives inside of you. All you have to do, y'all, is say yes. So let this be your invitation this upcoming year to show up for yourself and tap into that abundance. And when the opportunity presents itself, y'all say yes. You won't regret it. Thank you.